word, practice. So what does it mean to practice? So let's just, you guys can't see what I'm doing over here, but we're going to ask, what does it mean to practice? So what we see is the act to practice is the actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method. Okay. It also means to perform. Now this is a better definition as applied here. To perform an activity or an exercise repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency. Okay. So this idea of practice. Practice means to perform an activity in order to perfect it. So this is alluding to us that to practice sin or to practice righteousness is an intentional choice. Kind of think of it like, if you are someone who's learning to crochet, or, if you've got, if you're really into a sport like volleyball, softball, football, whatever, what do you do to get better at that activity? You repeatedly do it. You do that same exercise over and over again until you get it just right. Like, it makes me think of how when I was learning to crochet, there's always a foundation chain, right? And you want it to not be tighter in some places, looser in other places. You want it to be uniform throughout. And I remember that when I first started crocheting, I would just make chains all the time, repeatedly, until I felt like they were really well done. And then I learned my first stitch, which was a single crochet. And everything that I made for the longest time was nothing but single crochet. I was practicing these fundamental things to try and perfect this craft that I was working towards. So, this is telling us that this is a conscious choice, that we can choose to either practice sin or practice righteousness. And that honestly, as we continue down one of those paths, it gets easier to do one and harder to do the other.